Good afternoon. I see a couple people joining. I'm just going to give a minute or two just to let other people kind of log on. Okay, great. Just got confirmation it's actually working. It's always the biggest fear. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Katie Hood. Currently, my title is Career Change Program Coordinator. Some of you know me from my time in puppy program, and with the amount of dogs in homes, I've been helping out staff in puppy. So before we begin, I want to remind you that every dog and every situation is different, and if you're having a specific issue with your puppy, you need to reach out to puppy program staff, as the advice contained within my presentation is generalized, and it may be different than the advice that might be given for your personal situation. This short live presentation is going to review working through nuisance behaviors and a few things we may need to be thoughtful of as a result of our new pandemic lifestyles. Kate Healy, who is puppy program staff for Oakville and Eastward, coined a term that I'm using on the regular. It's living on COVID time. So that's sort of the theme for today, that we've got to teach our puppies a new time, so to speak. Now, routine in dog training is crucial. I likely don't have to tell many of you that, because, for example, teaching our puppies to go to the bathroom outdoors, we need to follow a very regular routine in order for them to be successful. But sometimes routine in a dog's life can backfire and things become predictable. So maybe now we're at home, our routine isn't very different day to day, and you have the dog who knows 5 p.m. is dinner time. And at 5 p.m., they start whining. You try to ignore it, and then they start woofing, and you just cannot put up with the woofing. So you say, okay, fine, that's it. And you go and you feed them. Well, now your puppy has learned that whining and woofing gets them fed. So during this time, I think it's safe to say everyone's routine has changed. Whether you're working from home or you're waiting for your regular routine to restart once restrictions are lifted, we want to make sure our routine isn't detrimental to our pups. There are times when predictability supports a dog. So, for example, when we have a dog who is struggling with crate training or has separation anxiety, teaching them that you always come back to them is how we work to address this. There are some really great tips in the past email blast about that, so make sure you check that out if you're concerned about that for your own puppy. But basically what we're teaching puppies by working in very short durations is that the person always returns, so there's no reason to panic. When we're at home a lot, it's easy to let crate training go by the wayside. So you've been given direction from your puppy staff around crating during the day. But if your puppy is having a hard time crating with someone nearby, you can work on this short exercise. I'm going to show you a video of my foster puppy from when she was young. Some of you may have seen this, but I'm going to talk through it about the training goals and what I was working to achieve. She really struggled in the crate. She was very vocal. So I started working on this with her, and you'll just need to give me a minute to get it all. Okay, so that's my little black puppy who shows up really well on videos. I should have requested a yellow. But you'll notice I put down towels in the crate as it encourages sniffing, which will come into play very soon. So what I'm doing is I'm sitting beside the crate, not in front of it, and I start by just quickly putting a piece of kibble on the floor of the crate before she started to scream, of course. And you'll see that I miss quite a few times. I'm just counting random short times in my head. 1 potato, 2 potato, kibble. 1 potato, kibble. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, kibble, that kind of thing. Because part of predictability is being too predictable. I want to work within my dog's ability, but not so predictable that I start to get demanding behaviors. Leave them wanting more. That's what we should all be thinking in dog training. So after a few rounds of rewarding for this calm behavior, you notice she starts to sniff at the ground where the kibbles were. And then I start rewarding for that. Right there. What I'm rewarding for is disengagement from me. So basically, if you're just hanging in the crate, not paying attention to me, bingo, you get paid with kibble. Kibble's just falling from the sky. What a dream come true. I'm trying to reward an alternate behavior, in this case, just calm exploration, which over time will replace the nuisance behavior of I'm sitting in a crate staring at you, which will lead to whining, barking, and so on. It's structured training without the kind of predictability that can create nuisance behaviors. And it's a really fine line that we need to walk sometimes. The other reason that the head down behavior is so important is because over time I wanted to reward a calm down. Just to clarify, at that point, my puppy was very young, coming up to 8 weeks, I believe. And I knew she would not be capable of laying down calmly in the crate yet, nowhere even near that. So to begin, I was just rewarding a head down, calm sniff / looking away from me, which over time, I develop into the whole body laying down and being calm. So once that behavior is established, just like a calm, either if you're able to get it down or even just a calm sit and relax in the crate, the other thing to work on is moving away from the crate so you don't have to be right beside them. If you're sitting in a chair, just move the chair further away by a few inches until you could be across the room tossing kibble in the crate, but you absolutely do need to work on your aim for that one. And I'm sure some of you who have worked with me have seen me fail at that a number of times. It's tricky. Now, I'm going to remind everyone of something that I hope you know off by heart by now, and that's the 3 Ds: duration, distance, and distractions. You can choose which part of this you want to work on with puppy. In this video, I'm working on a variable duration, so it's not predictable enough to cause demanding behaviors. And then once I had a good duration, so maybe puppy is calm enough that I can go up to 20 seconds between delivering kibble, I'm going to work on the distance factor of moving that chair away. But that means because I've increased distance, I need to go back in duration, and I'll have to return to feeding every few seconds because getting further away is going to be one of the more difficult parts for puppy. Once I've worked at being further away, I can stay at that distance and try to increase the duration between tossed kibbles. Or I can start to vary the distance and keep duration at a range I know that they're totally bomb-proof at, like maybe between 1 to 7 seconds. When you've reached longer durations, like 30 seconds to a minute, this is when you can get more inventive. And also when it's easier to work into your routine. So like sitting there scrolling on your phone and tossing in kibble every 30 to 60 seconds, or watching Netflix and tossing in a kibble every time you cry watching Queer Eye, or every time Gordon Ramsay yells at someone on Hell's Kitchen, although your dog would be very overweight if you went by that scale. Yes, these are the things I'm doing in pandemic with my own dog. So, when does predictability hurt our training? When it results in demand behaviors, some of which I've reviewed, but let's delve a little deeper into this. I'll tell you that my foster puppy never ate a meal at the same time every single day, and therefore I never had a dog that demand barked at 5 p.m. to be fed. As I said, routine is crucial in training, but we also need dogs that are flexible in changes in routine. It's a constant balancing act, and I feel like you do need to give yourself some recognition that it can be frustrating for humans as well. Puppy staff have definitely heard of an increase in demanding behaviors, most commonly barking. So it would be a good idea to review how to address some of that now. We need to remember that a behavior a dog is performing is driven by the reward or the punishment they receive immediately after they do it. Behavior does not occur in a vacuum, meaning there are always a bunch of factors that affect why your dog does what they do. And sometimes we don't have the answer to that question. But most of the time, the reason why they do what they do is because it feels good. So sometimes those rewards don't have anything to do with what you're doing as a human. So again, using that barking example, barking feels good to dogs. It releases stress. Sometimes it's fun. And that's why it can be such a challenging behavior to influence. Because once they've barked, they think, that was great. I'm going to do it again. And sometimes what happens after the bark is of little consequence to them because they've already felt good from barking. Or alternatively, they bark and we talk to them. No, quiet, stop that, puppy, no, enough. Well, they've learned that barking got our attention and the focus is on them. So now they bark to get your attention, and you're in this vicious circle. I have lived this life. I get it. Honestly, that's probably the hardest one because it's so instinctual for us to talk to our dogs, to tell them to be quiet, or just somehow verbally respond to the barking. We need to remember the 3 Ps of working on demand behaviors: predict, preempt, prepare. Demand barking is predictable. It always happens around an event. So if we can predict the event, we can preempt the barking, and in the future, we can prepare for it. So for example, let's use the puppy barking for dinner every day at 5 p.m. You can do a number of things to change that habit. If your schedule allows it, you can take puppy out for a walk at 4:45 p.m. Go for a half-hour walk, then bring them back inside, put them in the crate, and get their dinner ready. This doesn't give them the time to practice demand barking for dinner. Or at 4:30, try doing a short training session with them to see if it tires them out and pushes dinner time forward. Maybe at 4:50 p.m., you work on a calm down on a dog bed, rewarding at random time intervals that your dog can remain calm within. And then at the end, they get their dinner. These are just some ways to make a more variable meal time so we don't instill predictability that leads to demanding behaviors. You can take that theory into any demand behaviors that your dog is performing. Another example would be dogs getting up on the furniture. Right now, you're home more often. They might want to be near you and put their paws up on the furniture, on a chair you're sitting on. And what do we instinctively do? We tell them off and we push them away. Well, puppy learns that if they go up on the furniture, you give them attention, and then you say off, and they've got your attention, and they're technically performing the behavior off correctly. And so now it's a win-win in your puppy's mind. Again, this is walking a fine line, okay? Because what if your pup jumps up? You say off, and they don't try again. Then your puppy understands the off behavior, and they didn't find the event rewarding. But if they do it once, and then twice, and then it's multiple times a day, there is a self-reward in there. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for in nuisance behaviors, are they increasing, staying the same, or decreasing? Sounds familiar, much like what we're looking for in pandemic numbers right now. I thought it all kind of came together for this weird time in our lives. So if we have a dog getting up on furniture multiple times, us directing them to off after they've gotten up is not a solution. If we go back to those 3 Ps, we can predict they're going to jump up. So we need to preempt that behavior by rewarding an alternate behavior for them to do. Something like laying in a different spot near the furniture they commonly jump up on. Or you can work on this setup to do an off exercise where you have puppy dragging a leash, walk over to the furniture, and if puppy's feet are on the ground, so they're not jumping on the furniture, you say off. Mark yes, and lead them away from the furniture with a food reward and make a really big deal about it. Lots of high-pitched, happy noises. Good job, good puppy. Quick little steps away, and reward them away from the furniture instead of nearby it. So let me break down a few things about that exercise. The leash is dragging so that if they jump on the furniture, you can either step on the leash to prevent it or immediately remove them via the leash, and you don't have to touch their body, which can be rewarding, right? You're feeding them away from the couch. I'd recommend on the spot you want them eventually to settle on, to build a history of good things happen in this spot away from the furniture. And lastly, you're setting up this successful off behavior by capturing what you want, instead of teaching them that little behavior chain of jump on the couch, get off, get attention over and over and over. It just helps break the cycle to show them what we want them to do. Jumping on the furniture is also a scenario where the 3-strike rule can come into play. I've done this when I've seen puppies in homes. I come in and they immediately jump up on the furniture. Foster family freaks out, but it's just because they're excited to see me there and they want to be close to me. So the first time, I give them the benefit of the doubt and I just remove them without paying any attention to them. If it happens a second time, I try to give them a clearer behavior to do, so a sit or a down nearby me, and I reward them for that behavior. But if that's not enough, and then they try a third time to get up, I just remove them to their crate. I don't talk to them, show any emotions. I just calmly put them away and don't engage with them. Sometimes I might throw a little bit of a temper tantrum, but that's to be expected because they're really worked up and they're quite emotional. But again, if we know that when people come over, our puppy jumps up on the couch to try and be near them, then that third P comes into play. We can prepare by having puppy in a crate when guests arrive, bring puppy out on a leash so we can keep them from jumping up on the furniture, and heavily reward them for remaining 4 paws on the floor. So, a little recap of what we discussed here, and then I'm going to answer a few questions from foster families. We want to make sure, with all the changes to our lifestyle right now, that routine and predictability supports our puppy's training instead of encouraging demanding behaviors. A behavior becomes demanding if we see an increase of it or it's happening on a regular basis versus it just being a one-time event. We want to rely on the 3 Ps of training nuisance behaviors: predict, preempt, and prepare. Make sure you're shaking things up in your puppy's day. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Just going for walks at different times, mixing up when you do training sessions. Even just changing those small events can make a big difference to having a puppy that thrives within routine instead of relying on it. And all that to say, again, I repeat, every situation is different. And if you have a specific question about your puppy's behavior, please reach out to your puppy program staff member and they will personalize a training plan for you and your pup. Now, I'm going to review some of the questions that we've gotten from foster families. So the first question: how much walking and or exercise should our puppies really be getting? Awesome question. And like all great questions in dog training, the answer is it depends. So let's break down the it depends answer. I know it's a juggling act, okay? Trying to tire out puppies so they don't drive you bananas and you can actually get something done. But there is a real concern in over-exercising puppies. First off, they have not fully developed physically, so over-exercising them puts them at risk of soft tissue injuries and long-term health issues. Secondly, you can what we call train a canine athlete. That is a dog who requires an excessive amount of exercise just to be calm day in, day out. Lastly, it depends on their age. Very young puppies do not need a lot of exercise and they won't walk on leash for very long. Older puppies, we usually say 90 minutes of a walk per day. So 45 in the morning, 45 at night, or broken up multiple times throughout the day. And if you have a younger puppy, it's usually better to break it up to multiple times throughout the day. We don't want cardio exercise to be going past 20 minutes at max. If you live in a home with multiple dogs, you need to be making sure that they don't spend the day playing with each other, as this can create, again, a canine athlete who never tires, or a dog who thinks that every dog is an opportunity to play. Multi-dog homes need lots of crating and rotating, or ensuring that their dog can be calm in a room or on a dog bed while another dog is in the same room. Next question: can puppies age out of being recalled into the dog guides training program? I know that with all the changes recently, this is a concern for some families that for some reason their dogs won't be accepted into training. But I just wanted to reassure you on behalf of management and everyone in the puppy program that right now this is not a concern for us. So while puppies may be with you a little longer than our past averages, being too old is not a concern for us when it comes to recalls. Why are we not allowed to have play dates with other foster dogs? And what are the rules around puppy sitting? So I lumped these two together because both of them have a lot of similarities in their answer. So I thought I would just kind of keep them together. At this time, we're asking that all puppy sitting requests be sent to puppy staff and they will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. And the similar reasons between play dates and sitting is because Dog Guides is trying to avoid having puppies back and forth between homes as much as possible. One of the other reasons, probably the most important reason, is that many municipalities, as well as the provincial government, has requested that people suspend non-essential travel. So that's any travel outside of picking up groceries, medications, doctor's appointments, driving to work if you're an essential worker, events of that level of importance. So that directive, as well as the exhaustive research and medical opinion of our head veterinarian, in turn informed our requests that families not continue playdates and minimize sitting. For playdates in particular, while you think it would be easy to socially distance, if dogs need to be separated during play, it's instinctual for us to jump in to remove the dog. And if two people go in to remove a dog, we're not 6 feet apart anymore, and we're putting people in jeopardy, and it's just unnecessary. Also, if anything were to happen and a dog needed medical attention, I mean, you've seen the great lengths that our veterinary staff is going to ensure the health of every dog in our program. The last thing we need to be dealing with are any health issues from a play date gone wrong. So again, puppies just need to be staying put until you hear otherwise from us. I know it's difficult, but we really appreciate your attention to that during this time. And if you need puppy sitting, no matter the duration, it should be reviewed by puppy staff. So that's pretty much everything for today. I just wanted to give a shout out to Maria, our communications manager, for helping arrange this and moderate things while I have to talk a lot. I want to thank Puppy Program staff, Kate Healy, Rachel Gallant, Allison Maxwell, and Sam Hobbs for all of the work that they do. We are just really hopping around here, and we really appreciate your patience in us getting back to you, and your flexibility as we also navigate these very odd times for all of us. So we really appreciate your patience. And again, any questions, just feel free to reach out to your Puppy Program staff. And otherwise, I'm going to try to figure out how to end this. Oh, there's a big button. I'll just hit that. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.